Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Goon MF Michael Fledger alongside Anthony Floyo. We are awaiting the arrival of Michael Bullock, and yeah, we got a lot to talk about, guys. So we got Smackdown Live, we got AEW Rampage, and we do have the Bulls Corner. Unfortunately, it will not be a long Bulls Corner. We were kind of hoping that maybe it would have been a more of an extended. However, it is 2 episodes, and we are done. We'll get into that a little bit later on tonight. But with that said, we will start off with SmackDown Live as usual. And here we go. So, SmackDown Live here tonight. And we started it off with the WWE. Well, all right. So we started off with the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Did get a return or got interrupted by the Usos, Solo Sikoa, and of course, with everything going on, there was they started talking. Then you had yourself, then you really had Matt Riddle show up, but then everything kind of exploded as Solo beat it up on Riddle more than anything else. So, but they did make it a big announcement that in 2 weeks, in Corpus Christi, Texas, on SmackDown Live, that the Usos will indeed implement their rematch clause, and they will challenge for the SmackDown, for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships of the world. So, it is the Usos versus Owens and Zayn 2 weeks from now in Corpus Christi for the undisputed tag belts. Look, there's a number of ways this can go. Obviously, with the event coming up in May, now being called Night of Champions instead of it being known as the King and Queen of the Ring, all of a sudden, now there's a feeling or a sentiment that maybe the title changes hands. Obviously, in the past, in WWE, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens do not go to Saudi Arabia. Sami, I believe it's because of heritage and ethnic reasons for him is because of the fact that with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and what Sami Zayn is, it kind of draws a line, and WWE never wants to get into that type of situation. I know, even though you got the illusion or the realization that some fans of Saudi Arabia would love to see Sami, but due to political views and ethnicity and some other stuff, Sami doesn't go to those events. Kevin Owens has not gone once that I can remember that he's ever gone to Saudi Arabia. So there's a legitimate case that there's a very good possibility we could see crowning of new tag team champions. There is a very good possibility that the Usos could regain the tag team titles, even though it would completely undo everything they did at WrestleMania to break the streak and everything else. For them to get the belts back almost immediately, I don't know if that's even a good idea. But because of now this change of this event, that's why we got what we got. So nothing more to say. I love the segment. I thought the segment was solid. Anthony Florio, it's all yours.
I'm not as sold as you are, MF, unfortunately. I got to be the man who tells it like it is. I thought it was a rather paint-by-numbers promo segment, but the crowd was red hot for the baby faces and reacted exactly as you would want them to for the heels. Harmless creative that keeps the six-man tag team feud alive as the company likely sets up a big trios match for the Backlash pay-per-view on May the 6th in Puerto Rico. And Jay told the champs, y'all going to do what you always do, fold under pressure. And Sammy taunted the Usos by saying, you two are the ones who have to report back empty-handed to your daddy, Roman Reigns. And Sammy also said, I wish I was as good at anything as Jay is at lying to himself. Wow, okay. Shutting down his former friend's insistence that there are no cracks in the bloodline. So, I agree with everything you just said, MF. Yes, 2 weeks from tonight, Corpus Christi, Texas. Oh, by the way, on that very same night, we're starting the draft, boys.
Yeah, draft night begins.
They made that official tonight, too, in a commercial, a little vignette there, if you will. But, make that night even bigger. I mean, that night was already big because of the draft, the start of the draft, and now you're going to throw in the most anticipated tag team title rematch maybe ever. I don't know if it's going to be a 5-star. I doubt it's going to be a 5-star like what we got at Mania, but they're going to have it's going to be a great match regardless. It'll probably be a 4 to 4.5 at best if it gets the proper time it deserves, which I hope they do. So, and now that MF threw that out there, I am definitely apprehensive about Sammy and Kevin's feel-good moment being tarnished after only 27 days. I mean, the reign would end at literally 4 weeks. So it would be a major disservice. But with how strong Sammy feels about Saudi Arabia, it's a very realistic possibility. And I would not at all be surprised if the Usos were to regain the undisputed tag team championship, even though it would be a major disservice to end the reign after only 27 days. But now that this event is now known as Night of Champions now, we know what the caveat of that event is. All titles on the line. So
yeah,
we might even get Roman for that show. I think there's a very realistic chance we'll get Roman on that show. We might get a Roman title defense.
I need to say something.
Yeah.
I need to say something.
What's that?
Paul Heyman.
Wise man.
Doing that promo.
Yes.
Something I need to notice. And I want your thoughts.
Yes.
He was looking at Sammy and he was looking at Sammy and Owens, pointing at them, but talking to the Usos, saying that the tribal chief is losing his patience.
Oh yeah.
What does that mean? What is he implying?
Could this mean that maybe he's losing his patience with the Usos, that they need to get the job done, or they may be out of the bloodline? I mean, that's only my guess.
That is something that I want to talk about because of the fact, the wise man just doesn't do anything for her hyperbole. And if Roman's in his ear and is voicing that displeasure, because we haven't heard from Roman or anything about what happened at WrestleMania. We haven't heard anything about them failing and losing the tag team championship of the world, the undisputed tag team championship of the world.
This is true. So
read that for what it's worth.
Yeah, because here's the other thing. Here's the other thing I was going to bring up too. The only time we saw Roman was the night after WrestleMania, but he was with Solo Sikoa. What does that tell you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very so.
Yeah. We're gonna have to wait and find out. that's in 2 weeks. If they throw that caveat in there, then I got a feeling then that would be a perfect caveat for the Usos to get the belts back. That would be a perfect caveat, and then Roman and then Sammy and KO can skip out on Saudi Arabia. So I mean, it would suck. I mean, after only 27 days to end the reign, that's way too soon. But it's looking very likely like it's going to happen. The only way, and then the only realistic way that Sammy and KO go over and keep the belts is if they have a change of heart. But I don't think they'll have a change of heart. I really don't. But we're gonna have to wait and see. So 2 weeks, we got 2 big selling points for 2 weeks in Corpus Christi. Night 1 of the draft and that tag team championship rematch. So paint by numbers segment. So there isn't much more for me to add. So Michael Bullock, Phenom, come on in. Paint by numbers opening segment to start the show tonight. But nonetheless, here we are. The rematch in 2 weeks. KO and Sammy against the Usos for the tag titles and night 1 of the draft on top of that.
Boy, I mean, but you know what? I'm with Fletch on this one. I thought this was a good segment. I mean, whenever you got Heyman on there, you know it's going to be a good segment. And then, of course, when you throw in with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, so I thought it was a good segment. But yeah, now you got the rematch. It's going to go down in Corpus Christi the same night of the draft. Yeah, now with this news of this being renamed to Night of Champions, I do have this funny feeling. I think we could get the Usos to once again be the tag team champions, even though that we all agree it would be a major disservice and to have it end after 27 days. But because of political reasons, they may have no choice but to take the belts off of them. Because, like you said, Florio, Night of Champions, all titles must be defended. And if that's the case, then you may have to take the titles off Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, even though we disagree with it. But because of where Sami Zayn stands with Saudi Arabia, they may have no other choice. So either way, I'll say it like this, and I don't know if you guys agree. It's a no-win situation here because, I mean, we all want Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to still be the champs, but also because of this whole thing in Saudi Arabia and where Sami Zayn stands, if you're going to have the titles to be defended, unfortunately, you're going to need to take the titles off of them. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a no-win situation, no matter how you see it.
The only logical thing I can think of is you have them lose the belts in Saudi. Okay, fine. Maybe they get the belts back at Money in the Bank at the O2 in London. Maybe them regain the belts there and then maybe plant the seeds of a real dissension in the bloodline, because something tells me that there's a number of ways this could go. Obviously, with Roman, I think what could happen here is Roman's going to get pissed, blame the Usos, throw them out, then maybe this might be the opening that we need for Cody Rhodes. Now remember, what happened at WrestleMania, a lot of people were really pissed, including us. I now think there's a legit scenario. And let me run this by you guys. And then you can give me your thoughts. Cody wins Money in the Bank. Demands that he faces Roman Reigns at SummerSlam in Detroit at Ford Field for the undisputed title. Now, Usos wins in Saudi Arabia. to lose the belt at Money in the Bank in London at the O2. Roman gets pissed, kicks out the Usos out of the bloodline, says that you're worthless, you're not useful, you're worthless, you're losers. You don't hold the credence to the tribal chief. They come back, screw Roman over at SummerSlam, helping Cody win the undisputed title at SummerSlam.
And that would mean the Usos would turn face.
Yes.
I could see that happening. I could see it. What says you, Florio?
Well, that would be a very interesting way to get there. I know everybody's still up in arms, and not in a good way, about Cody not getting the moment at Mania. But like I said, the payday is coming. The payday is coming, and perhaps August the 5th at Ford Field. Let's not forget, Ford Field's a big stadium too. Maybe it's not as big as SoFi, but it's still a big stadium in its own right. And
we know SummerSlam's not as big as WrestleMania, but it's still one of the big pay-per-views.
Well, from what I've heard, it's the second biggest show of the year, SummerSlam.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Yes. And we've had world title changes at SummerSlam before. And it could happen. I mean, Cody getting it through the Money in the Bank and doing it through it via an honest cash-in. I mean, it's only been done. We've only had 2 honest cash-ins all time. That being RVD when he wanted to fight Cena at the ECW event.
Yep.
And the other was I believe it was Cena himself when he called out Punk for Raw 1000. Those are the only 2 honest cash-ins I can remember. So I would love to see Cody do it with an honest cash-in. I wouldn't mind that at all. I think the plan was for Cody to win that thing last year, and then maybe Roman would have dropped the belt sooner, perhaps. But I think Cody's injury really, put everything in a tailspin here.
But now you can go back. But now you could recycle this back. If Cody's in, as long as he doesn't get hurt, you could actually recycle this and get Cody with the Money in the Bank, do that honorable cash-in, like we said.
Say, I want Roman at SummerSlam.
And you could have it, because that's the only way right now we could think of it.
Yep, and like I said, Ford Field is just as big as SoFi. I mean, they can pop big there too. I mean, Bullock should know. His man, The Undertaker, won the World Heavyweight Championship. Remember how crazy that place went when he won?
Oh, yeah.
With all due respect, Bullock, I think they'll pop even bigger if Cody dethrones the Tribal Chief on that night. So,
hey, I wouldn't mind it.
I wouldn't either. And it's a win-win for everybody, because the only reason why Roman came out of Mania still the champion is they realized, ooh, he's this close to 1,000 days. Let's get him to 1,000 days. It hasn't been done in 38 years.
Yeah.
In almost 40 years.
True.
The last champion was Hogan. Hogan was the last guy to hold the title for 1,000 days. His very first reign. He held it for almost 1,500 days. So it hasn't been done in nearly 40 years. And they're this close with Roman. By the way, Night of Champions, Saudi Arabia, that's day 1,000. Let's not forget that either. So he'll get his 1,000 days. He'll get his 1,000 days. I mean, WWE, okay, Roman had his 1,000-day run. Now he can put it on Cody, and I don't know if he's going to get that. I highly doubt he's going to get that long of a run, but hopefully, as long as it's a decent, respectable run, then we're good with it. But I could easily see that scenario you played out, MF. That's a very realistic scenario there. So Cody wins Money in the Bank, and then he finally dethrones Roman at SummerSlam, possibly because of the Usos. I'm good with it. So we'll wait and find out. All right. So with that, let's I think Bullock's already given his thoughts. So enough talking. Let's get into some action here.
All right, we will indeed. We started it off with the first fight of the night. LA Knight, one-on-one with Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods winning the match in 11 minutes and 45 seconds, man. Big win for him. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
11:45. Yeah, I think MF said 11:45, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, just wanted to be 100% sure. All right, first things first. Xavier Woods pulling the tights and getting the win. And the traditional funny commentary bit from myself and MF. You're going to call that a clean win, I suppose. And then you know how MF would rebuttal with that. Considering LA Knight tried to do the same thing, yes. I'm like, of course. So, but all kidding aside, 3 1/4, teetering on 3 1/2. The finish was clever, sure, but one has to wonder what and if there is an end game to this LA Knight losing streak. The guy is mega over, has the tools WWE always looks for in its stars, and has proven his ability to stay over even when the creative support is not necessarily there. Hopefully, Triple H has an idea of where that character is headed, because fans will only tolerate so much losing before they start to question why they should invest energy into him. Woods delivered a double stomp to the back of the neck of Knight, then followed with a leg drop for another count. Referee Jessica Carr caught LA Knight with a handful of tights, but failed to do the same when Xavier Woods did the same, leading to the babyface victory. Yeah, 3 1/4, 3 1/2. But this win actually led to something big for Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods is going to have the biggest match of his career next Friday night on Smackdown in Columbus, Ohio. He's going to be challenged. He just earned the right to basically challenge Gunther for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. He goaded Gunther into a championship match next week. So you thought the King of the Ring in Saudi Arabia a couple years ago was his biggest win? He beats Gunther. That is hands down his biggest win. Do I think it'll happen? I don't know. I would love to see it happen. I mean, that would literally be an unprecedented crowning in the immortal words of Gorilla and MF. But you know, we'll have to wait and find out. So there isn't much more to say on that. Michael Bullock, come on in. Xavier Woods wins in 11 minutes and 45 seconds over LA Knight, pulling the tights and getting the win. But he's got the biggest match of his life next week as he challenges Gunther for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. What an opportunity.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge opportunity for Xavier Woods going up against Gunther next week. Have a chance to become the Intercontinental Champion, but let's be honest. I mean, Gunther's been one of the most dominating Intercontinental Champions in a long time, and I think he's going to keep that title as long as he wants, so we'll wait and see what happens with that. So I'll give this about 3 stars. I'll give it. I mean, I was going to give it 3 1/4, but the pulling of the tights took a little bit away from it. But all in all, still a good match. So it's your Sledge.
Yeah, all in all, it's still a good match. Nothing more to say. Next up that we did have on the show was a promo segment. Well, this ended up being a 2-for-1 deal. Started out with a promo segment by 3 members of the Judgment Day, as it was SmackDown Women's Champion Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio. But it got interrupted by a little sneak attack by the LWO. The sexy Zelina Vega walked out on the stage, and then it was Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro jumped from behind, sneak attack, and got everything all shot and going. Then we had a one-on-one, Priest versus Escobar. Damian Priest winning the match. The South of Heaven choke slam for the win. Absolute chaos in this fight. Michael Bullock, it is all yours.
Yeah, I mean, what was the time of Damian Priest and Santos Escobar?
11:35.
All right, just wanted to make sure on that. So, yeah, I mean, it was a fine promo. I mean, but like you said, I mean, the LWO, the Latino World Order, showing that this war between them and the Judgment Day is far from over, and we'll see what happens with that. And as far as this match goes, I'll give it about maybe 3.25 when it comes to this. And yeah, I mean, so far, the Judgment Day still showing that they rule over the Latino World Order, but if I know good old MF Michael Fletcher, and he knows his history with covering the Latino World Order from their old days of the WCW, they're not going to take this whole thing lying down with the Judgment Day, because they are going to come back fighting hard like the strong Latino World Order that they are. Isn't that right, MF?
Oh yeah, this is just a blip. This is just a minor blip in a long story. And the thing is, LWO, they'll get their act together. Once they do, they'll be fine. And the thing is, right now, they're not giving them the big pushes they're getting just yet. But the thing is, there's an ace up the sleeve. And I really honestly believe there's another bomb about to be dropped down the line. And we might need to wait for the draft for this. Because that's the one thing I'm waiting for, is draft night. Because I heard a rumor of a certain guy who used to be in AEW that he might be coming back to WWE. I'm not saying anything. I'm putting it out there. But I've heard a name that might be coming back to WWE. And if he does, all I'm just going to say is tranquilo, accepte. El Idolo returns. And if it does, let's just say, not only am I going to be happy, but Zelina Vega might be ecstatic, because her running buddy might be coming back. That's all I'm just going to say.
I think I already know who you're talking about, MF, so
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. But I think I already know where you're going with this.
So, nothing more to say. 3 stars, solid fight. You could even call this one of the fights of the night. Florio, it's yours.
3.25, 3.5. The rivalry between the LWO and the Judgment Day is arguably as hot as any in WWE right now, as evidenced by the reaction to the showdown between Santos Escobar and Damian Priest tonight. The crowd in Lincoln, Nebraska was red hot for the match itself, thanks to Escobar's fiery comeback and the utter disdain it has for the heel faction. Good physical match with escalation in the form of interference from teammates of both competitors, concluded with Damian picking up a tainted win. Ray made the save for the babyfaces afterward and ensured his feud with Dominic, and the Judgment Day will continue on the road to Backlash. Banger of a match, and proof that Triple H's handling of this feud has been on point, and evidence that the company may have something in the LWO. The reaction for Escobar in particular was really strong, and should ease any hesitations critics may have about his ceiling on the main roster. From his presence to his facial expressions, Damian Priest looked like the intimidating force he should have been from day one on the main roster. Giving him promo time was also the right call and allowed him to show off in a way he has not really had the opportunity to as the muscle of the Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley took exception to Caleb Braxton mentioning Zelina Vega getting the best of her a week ago. I think we're looking at a SmackDown women's title match with those two, maybe in Puerto Rico.
It is.
Zelina is going to be ridiculously over. Let's not
kid dude. She may be originally from New York. She's from the 5 boroughs of New York, but she's got that Puerto Rican heritage. She is going to get a hero's welcome from Puerto Rico. Like, it is going to, you want to talk about like Brett in Canada or Sheamus in Ireland, or when Drew got that hero, that crazy welcome at Clash at the Castle. Zelina is going to get a monster pop in Puerto Rico.
You better
It's
believe.
going to be loud.
And I'll tell you this right now. I mean, if Rhea Ripley thinks that this is going to be easy against someone like Zelina Vega, I think she's sadly mistaken because, look, like you said, it's Puerto Rico. I mean, she's going to get a thunderous ovation, and all I can say is, Rhea, you are going to be crucified mercifully because
Big time.
Because you really think that they're going to take exception to the things you've done to Zelina Vega? I don't think so.
You're literally going into enemy territory. The one thing about Rhea is that I don't think she's intimidated. You know, any other time, any other location, any other city, you'd be like, all right, fine, whatever. But when you're going up in a big fight, big championship match against Zelina in Puerto Rico at San Juan at el Estadio, at la Estación de la San Juan, that is a major, major, major deal. We haven't done this since New Year's Revolution when they fought in the Elimination Chamber for that title. Like, that's how big this event is. It's been over a decade.
18 years.
Yeah, almost 2 decades since
2005.
Puerto Rico's had a premium live event.
January 9 of 2005.
So
Raw exclusive pay-per-view.
Raw exclusive at the time, yes.
Yep.
But this is a bigger situation and a bigger moment. Now, Zelina will be the overwhelming underdog. That is, I granted, you got it. I understand that. The odds of her winning this title,
Not
very
good.
slim. Very slim. I will openly admit that.
Rhea's going over.
Rhea will most likely go over. But if there ever was an inkling or a moment where WWE could pull the trigger, pull a rabbit out of the hat, and give us a moment in history where we were like, oh my God, this just really happened?
Unprecedented crowning.
Liv Morgan had one of the biggest moments of last year when she cashed in Money in the Bank, took the title from Ronda Rousey at Money in the Bank. Unprecedented crowning, history was made. This would be even bigger than that.
Oh, yes.
If that happens.
Oh, yes.
Even bigger if Zelina Vega becomes the undisputed SmackDown Women's Champion. Bigger upset, biggest moment of her life. It would even pale to what she did with the Queen's Crown. When she became the quote-unquote Queen of the Ring, when she won that title, that was the one thing.
Indeed.
So, we'll see.
We shall. And there have been so many memorable hometown pops, especially when the hometown hero won a championship. British Bulldog, SummerSlam 92 at Wembley. CM Punk in Chicago, Money in the Bank. Buddy Murphy, Buddy Matthews in Australia when he won the Cruiserweight belt. I mean, there have been a lot of great moments. I still fantasize about what the pop would have been if Drew McIntyre would have left Cardiff with the undisputed title.
Oh my God, that place would have gone. That place would have gone.
You think? But unfortunately, that did not happen. But, you know, it is what it is. But, and I mentioned that because Zelina Vega distracted Rhea Ripley, allowing Santos Escobar, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde to attack Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio from behind, getting Michael Cole mega hyped. I mean, I'm loving this new mega hype Michael Cole. I mean, he's doing his personal best work. I can't get enough of it. I love it. I love seeing him go nuts. It's awesome. He's like a little kid. I mean, I love it. Escobar fired off a hot babyface comeback that led the chants of Santos LWO beat Dominic up to a huge reaction, Michael Cole, and Rhea Ripley interfered, but Zelina Vega sent her face first into the guardrail with a little Hurricanrana move. So they're definitely building towards a Rhea and Zelina Smackdown women's title matchup in Puerto Rico in 3 weeks. So we'll get there soon enough, guys. But all in all, great matchup here. I'm giving this 3.5 stars because I thought the action in this was a little better than Xavier in LA, although they had a solid match too. But this was a very good match, and I'm loving. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had a fun faction rivalry in professional wrestling, and we've got one here. LWO and Judgment Day, more of this, please, more. And I know it's leading to some bigger and better things down the road. So this is just a sample of what we're going to get in the weeks and months to come. So not much more to say here. Bullock started this, right?
Yes.
All right. So then it goes back to you, MF, for our next relevant match or segment.
Yeah, and so the next relevant thing that we got was a promo segment by the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions of the World, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I love it, man. This was amazing. This was a moment in for me. It was special. I loved it. Obviously, it was buzzkilled by Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, and they made their intention known that they wanted the belts, which is good. Good for them. I don't mind it. I think it was good. Solid for what it was worth. I got nothing wrong with this. This was pretty standard paint by numbers. Nothing more to say. So we move on. Next story. Next up we had was the return of Shinsuke Nakamura, man. He's back. Came back from Japan, and he did everything he needed it to do. And, he had his great match against the Great Muda on New Year's Day from Pro Wrestling Noah. And now he's back in the United States, and he got to face off with Madcap Moss. Yeah, he finishes Madcap Moss almost immediately. Finishes him within 2 minutes, 1 minute and 30 seconds. Obviously, dud, worst fight of the night. It was more of Nakamura showing off why he is one of the greatest wrestlers of our time. Nakamura looking amazing as usual, but there was something that got cut at the end. And it was, a big, another reveal. Scarlett doing her little tarot reading card, and it got right into the sight of one Karrion Kross, and it looks like Kross and Nakamura might be on the collision course. Ooh, I like this. Nakamura and Kross, possibly one-on-one? Oh my God, WWE, please do that fight whenever you can, man. Shut up and take my money if this happens. That's all I'm going to say, man. So I got nothing more to say. I guess you guys can talk about the segment, but I really got nothing more to add at this point. So Florio or Bullock, it's yours if you want to talk about it.
I'll say this quickly. The post-match video involving Scarlett and Karrion Kross sets up a program with Shinsuke Nakamura that it will be a lot of fun. Produce some really interesting in-ring matchups based on their styles and give both men something of substance to do. And it's evidence that a short, compact segment can still produce positive results. The match was a showcase. That's all it was. Great to have him back. Business has picked up, and we'll I don't know when they'll do it. I mean, Puerto Rico, maybe they add that to Puerto Rico Backlash. We'll have to find out. That would be a welcome addition to that card. So, but we'll have to wait and find out. But Nakamura and Kross, what a matchup that's going to be. Any more words of you and Gorilla MF?
Yeah, I'll add to it. I think that I'd definitely be up for Shinsuke Nakamura and Karrion Kross. I mean, you put those two in there, I think that could be something really good. It's really good to see Nakamura back for the first time in a while. So, yeah, that's all I'll say on it. So let's move on, Fletch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, the next relevant thing that we did have at the end, the next relevant thing was we talked about the Sami Zayn, Heyman, all that stuff. Main event: Solo Sikoa and Matt Riddle 1-on-1, and it was Solo winning the match in 10 minutes and 50 seconds. Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
10:50. The match was a solid example of the unstoppable force versus the resilient babyface, but it featured one of the most mind-numbing finishes imaginable, as Riddle was just seconds from winning the bout, but opted to take out the Usos at ringside instead, and ultimately fell prey to the amniotic spike for Solo Sikoa to get the win. It was, I got to be honest, it was right out of the Jeff Hardy school of boneheaded moves that completely ruins the impression that the babyface is actively trying to win the match. Sikoa winning was to be expected, but there had to have been better ways to get there. Beyond that, the match was fine, but nothing in particular was advanced outside of the continued presentation of Solo as a dominant badass monster heel. Yep, and that's where MF mentioned about Heyman saying that the tribal chief is losing his patience with the two of you. But it seemed like he was more warning Sami and KO in that pre-match promo, all while staring a hole through the Usos. The camera work was phenomenal, and the manner in which Heyman pulled that off continued to hint at Roman's displeasure with his cousins. Referee Jason Ayers sent the Usos, Sami and KO to the back to ensure the match stayed one-on-one. Both champions and former champions brawled back to the ringside area, where Riddle stupidly took his attention off of Solo and wiped out the Usos with that floating bro moonsault. And Solo drove Riddle into the announce table, and the original bro laid in a heap to close out the show. 3 to 3.25 stars for this. So another one of the fights of the night. Third of three really good. Third of three solid to good to great matches we had on this show. Quality bouts here tonight. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, your thoughts on the main event there?
Yeah, solid 3.25. I mean, this was definitely another solid match here. I mean, yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes as far when it comes to the bloodline. So yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, your thoughts?
All right, so with that said, now we go into our overall review, which is, I believe, it is led off by Michael Bullock. So, Bullock, it's yours, man.
Yeah, I thought this was another good show here. I mean, you did only have one bad match, obviously, with it being Shinsuke Nakamura and Madcap Moss. That was more of like you said, a showcase. You had 3 solid matches here. You had some good promos here. I'll give this about maybe 7 to 7.5 on this one. I mean, it definitely could have been better, but all in all, I enjoyed it. And of course, the announcement of the draft that really helped it too. So 7.5. It's your Fletch.
I'll go 7.5 to 8. I actually enjoyed this. I thought this was a very good show. Solid for what it was worth. I don't think there was anything bad about the episode. So I really thought they did a really good job with this. So 7.5 to 8. Anthony, it's yours.
7.5 to 8. Yeah. Three quality matches on this show tonight. A couple of quality segments here and there. The women's segment was a bit of a disaster, if I'm going to be honest with you, but it is setting up. We do have another match for next week. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defending the women's tag team championship against Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. So, and then we also have Strowman and Ricochet going up against the Viking Raiders. So we're looking like we got another good show coming up in Columbus next week. So not much more to say on that. So 7.5 to 8. And now we move into back to a traditional taped edition of AEW Rampage from Milwaukee once again.
Yeah, and we started off with Aussie Open versus the Best Friends for the IWGP World Tag Team titles. The Aussie Open winning the match, keeping the belt, 9 minutes and 25 seconds. solid opener. Very good matchup. It was no big surprise here more than anything else. So for me, I'm really happy with the outcome. And for me, the story of the night was that exactly. So I really got nothing more to say. That, like I said, solid match, solid opener. About maybe 3 stars, 9.25. The time of the fall. Florio, it's yours.
3, maybe 3.25. Good match with a lot of energy, but like many Rampage bouts, it had an outcome that seemed all but certain before the match even started. Kyle Fletcher is one of those guys who doesn't have the look of a powerhouse, but has a lot of strength. He can pick up and carry full-grown men around like it's as easy as picking up his groceries. And the Tower of Doom superplex spot was awesome, but that's really all there was. Solid opening match, 3.25. Not much more to say. Michael Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, 3.25. I'm with you on this one. I mean, I enjoyed the action with these two. So yeah, there's nothing more to say. Let's move right along, Fletch.
All right. Next up, we had was Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, and Satnam Singh. They went up against Luther, Angelico, Nick, Jake Manning, and Serpentico. It was Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, and Satnam Singh winning in 201. We don't really need to talk about this one. After that, we had Emi Sakura versus Taya Valkyrie, and it was Taya winning the match in 8:34. But man, did it go a little bit more crazier than anything else, because all of a sudden, the explosion started more than anything else because of the fact that Layla Gray came out, Jade Cargill came out. They were out there during the matchup and everything else. After Taya won, Layla tried to jump her. Well, she got welcomed to Road to Valhalla, but that's where Jade Cargill attacked and got jaded on Taya. So, Anthony, yes, Taya might have won the battle, but it looks like she might have lost the war for tonight.
For tonight, yes, but I think we all know where this is leading. I think we're looking at a TBS championship match with Jade Cargill and Taya Valkyrie at Double or Nothing. And I believe on that night, Taya Valkyrie will finally dethrone Jade Cargill as the TBS champion and hand Jade Cargill her first loss. That's just how I feel about it, but we'll wait and find out. But I think that's definitely where we're heading here, right here and now. This bout had some hiccups, but it was a good display of ability for both women as well. This is one of those times when the commercial break definitely impacted the flow of the bout. Jade Cargill and Leela Gray attacked Valkyrie after the bout and left her laid out after hitting her with Jaded. Emi Sakura's sequence of submissions was well done. AEW has done a much better job with the women's division in recent months. There's multiple stories going on at once and not just for the titles. Taya Valkyrie's sliding German suplex is a fun spot. She and her husband, John Morrison, both do it well. And Sakura was slapping the hell out of Valkyrie at one point. So I'm leaning towards 2.5, 2.75 for this. So there isn't much more for me to add on to it. So outcome never in doubt with Valkyrie going over here. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, you heard what I just said. I think it's definitely leaning towards Jade Cargill and Taya Valkyrie for the TBS title at Double or Nothing. And the bold prediction, Jade Cargill gets her first loss. Taya takes the title in Vegas.
Yeah, 2.5, 2.75. I'm with you on this one. A solid match here, but yeah. I mean, Taya may have won the battle, but she may have lost the war tonight thanks to Jade Cargill to basically proving to Taya that she is the most dominant female, not just in AEW, but in professional wrestling right now. And until someone stops her, that no one's going to stop her. But we all think it's going to be Taya Valkyrie that is going to do it. That she is going to end the undefeated reign of Jade Cargill. And I think it's going to happen at Double or Nothing. So, nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with everything you guys have said. I thought it was a solid match as well. I would say about 3 stars. Main event was Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Shawn Spears. Jack Perry winning the match in 9:03. Michael Bullock, you lead off.
Another 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star for this. I thought it was another solid match. The outcome was never in doubt with Jungle Boy Jack Perry going over, so nothing more to say. It's your switch.
Yeah, solid match, good battle. Could have been better in certain areas, but I'm not going to be too mad about it. It's about 2 3/4 to 3 stars for our main event. Anthony, go.
2.5 to 3 here. Gave both this match gave both men a stage to showcase their abilities. They had good chemistry and made sure to do things that highlighted their strengths. The clean finish for Jungle Boy that left the perfect 10 looking a little dejected. He still shook Perry's hand and raised his arm to close the show. Not much more to say there. Shawn Spears said he's been gone because he had a baby with his wife, Peyton Royce, obviously. Also said he is no longer friends with MJF. It's possible we get a babyface run from him soon if AEW is not keeping him aligned with MJF. He got a decent reaction when he came out in some welcome back chants. If he's not going to use the Jungle Boy name as his primary moniker anymore, Perry needs to get a new look for him. And showing Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara watching the match from backstage felt a little unnecessary. It made sense for the story being told, but the placement was what felt random. So 2.5 to 3 overall review. Let's go.
Overall, it was all right. I think it was a pretty good show. It was a back to basics show. 6.5. Really, I mean, it wasn't anything bad, remotely bad, but it was all right. So 6.5. Anthony, go.
Solid, but not overly spectacular. But then again, that's how Rampage always is. So 6.5. Bullock taking home before MF and I do our Bulls Corner season finale here.
Yeah, 6.5. I agree with everything you said. So, with that being said, guys, I hate to do this to you, but I think it's time for the season finale of the Bulls Corner.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is the end for Chicago. Gallant effort. I'll give them that. It was a gallant effort, but just not enough. The Miami Heat knocked Chicago out. They have captured the 8th seed. They will be playing the Milwaukee Bucks in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. And it is the Miami Heat knocking out Chicago by the final score of 102-91. Now, I will openly admit this. If you were listening to the game on radio or if you were watching the game on TNT, this game was a lot more closer than what the score line is showing. Miami jumped out, early lead, had a double-digit lead. It looked like it was a repeat of the last game. Chicago came back, got the lead at one point, got it down to 5, got a 5-point lead, actually got up to about 7 at one point. Then Miami came back. It was back and forth until the final 2 minutes of the game. Miami hit a clutch 3 that gave them a lead, gave them the overall lead, gave them, I think it was they were only up by 2. A clutch 3 got them to 5. And then it was free throws down the line that Miami was hitting that got it up to that 11-point score line. Even though, if you look at it in hindsight, you would think, oh, Miami dominated the game. That's not the case. Miami got clutch buckets down the line, but if you were watching the game the whole way through, this was neck and neck. It was only until Chicago was forced to foul trying to extend the game. Miami was hitting their free throws, and that's why we got that score line that we got. So, at the end of the game, Chicago does fall to Miami, and in this game, both teams were almost even on the field goal range. Chicago shooting 44%, Miami 41%. Again, Chicago lived and died by the 3-point line. Was 8 for 29 this time around, 8 for 28 this time around. Miami was a little more better, 10 for 30. Free throw percentage, advantage Miami. They absolutely dominated this. 28 of 32 for 87%. They out-rebounded Chicago 51 to 37. That was the key thing. And then in the turnover margin, look, Chicago did better in that one. Unfortunately, this time around, unlike the first time, when we were talking about, when we were talking about the bench scoring for Chicago, this time around, the bench scoring actually was advantage Chicago. They were 22 to 18 in the bench, but the thing was, Chicago just didn't have enough horses. 4 guys really did very well. 4 guys in double figures for Chicago. DeMar DeRozan ending it with 26 points. Nikola Vucevic with 12 points. Alex Caruso having a great game with 16 points. So did Zach LaVine with 15 points. And Kobe White coming off the bench with 14 points. But what really made the difference for tonight was the 3-headed monster for the Miami Heat. Tyler Hero with 12 points. Marcus Strauss, 7 3-point bombs. He dropped on Chicago, 31 in the game. And of course, the all-star, the superstar of the Miami Heat, one-time Chicago Bull, Jimmy Butler, stuck it to his old team. 31 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a dominating performance by him. And that's why the Miami Heat knocked out the Chicago Bulls. Anthony Florio, it was a valiant effort by the Bulls. We got by Toronto, could not get by Miami. Miami knocks out the Bulls in the play-in, and it's the Heat and the Bucks in round 1.
And the main reason for this, 3:45 left. 3:45 left. From that point on, the final 3:45 of the game, the Miami Heat closed the game, outscoring Chicago 15. Did you hear that? 15-1 in 3:45. Chicago was up 90-87, and then it was 90-87, and then 15-1 Miami in the final 3:45 to send the Miami Heat back to the playoffs for the 12th time in 15 years. And they will face off against the Milwaukee Bucks. And hey, 1-8 matchup. This is going to go down as one of the more compelling 1 versus 8 matchups in quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's been a long. I mean, there've been a few of them back in the day. There were a few 1-8 matchups that were like, hey, this is actually intriguing. And they lived up to the hype. I think this one could live up to the hype. But like I said the other night, I was very surprised when Chicago beat Toronto, considering that Toronto had them down so big in that game. I was like, yeah, this one's over. But it reminded us, don't ever change the channel because no lead's ever safe, and they proved it. And they somehow got out of Toronto with the win there, and I was beyond surprised with that. And I thought, oh my God, is this really going to happen again? But then Miami's like, enough of this, and Jimmy Butler's like, yeah, my former team ain't getting one up on me. Oh no. So there you go. Jimmy Bucket sticks it to us, and it is what it is. 15-1. That's what all Bulls fans are going to remember going into next season. 15-1 in the last 3:45 of the game. That was the difference. But yeah, the 3-point shooting was terrible. Miami was no better, but the rebounding edge went to Miami, 51-37. Chicago did have the assist advantage, 24-19. Miami had 7 steals to Chicago's 5. Chicago won the block battle 3-2. Chicago committed 2 fewer turnovers and outscored them 13-6 off turnovers. The fast break was even 9-9, 36-34 Chicago in points in paint. Miami they committed 20 fouls. Chicago 25. Chicago's largest lead was 6. Chicago's largest lead was 6, and Miami's largest was 14. So a big win for the Miami Heat. So there is no congratulations to them. They deserve the win, and now it's on to Milwaukee against the Bucks, and that series starts Sunday evening at 5:30. So that's when you can tune into that. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are well on their way to the other spot in the West because they're putting a whooping right now on OKC. So looks like Minnesota's on their way to Denver. So NBA playoffs just about all set to go, boys. So definitely keep an eye on our family and networks because there will be no Bulls Corner, unfortunately, but we are going to have the Celtics chat. We're going to have the Bruins beat, and we're also going to have the Ranger roundup. So 3 out of 4 ain't bad. So not much more to say here. Sad ending, but so classic case MF of so close yet so far away. So,
Yep, agreed.
But even if we did win, did you really think we were going to beat Milwaukee? No.
Yeah,
I didn't. So 2 shows, but hey, at least we got something in. So, but we got more when it comes to the other 3 shows. So.
Oh yeah, so the road just got a little more interesting. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. And yeah, we're down. We're out of here, guys. So we are done for tonight. Thank you guys as always. Like the video, leave a comment, share with all your friends on all the social media platforms around the world. For Anthony Flair and Michael Bullock, I'm Michael Fletcher saying so long, everybody. See you next week.